What's up, guys? BC coming at you on this, Thursday, November 30th, 2023. How did that happen? Where did November go? Christmas is 3 weeks from Monday. That's wild, man. Time flies. Anyway, the focal point of this upload will be the big CM Punk promo from this past Monday night. It became highly controversial and there was a lot of backlash afterwards, which is ironic because BC feels this was one of the most non-controversial promos Punk has ever cut. So because a lot of the fans had different expectations or thought that more was going to be said, especially about certain topics, they didn't hear that, so they deemed it bad. But was it? BC's thoughts on this, they're going to be candid, they're going to be amplified, it's going to be brutally honest, but it's a discussion that needs to be had. We're going to have that, and my thoughts on this subject might surprise you. The CM Punk promo, is the backlash warranted? Is it justified? Or is this one of the situations where everybody just needs to RELAX? Possibly. We'll talk about it. And it's in this upload. But first, some breaking news. At least for BC, I was traveling all of yesterday. So some of you guys might be privy to this story. It came out right after Dynamite went off the air. So a lot of you guys might already be privy to this. But I found out about it 5 minutes before recording. Because again, I was just traveling all yesterday. Couldn't really keep up on a lot. But that does tell BC that a lot of you guys probably don't know about this story yet. And it's a pretty big story. It's something that has to be discussed because usually when you start to hear things like this, the way it all plays out is usually messy. Britt Baker, not happy with her booking in All Elite Wrestling. Britt Baker is one of the staples in the women's division in AEW. Britt Baker is easily, hands down, one of the, if there was going to be a captain like the Yankees, right? Derek Jeter for all those years, he was the captain. Aaron Judge is our captain. If there's a captain in the women's division, even if it's a co-captain, Britt Baker, any female will tell you it's Britt Baker, even if they don't get along with Britt Baker. She is somebody that has literally taken it upon herself originally to do all of this outside work for AEW, especially when it comes to the women's division. All these appearances and showing up to baseball games to do first pitches and represent AEW. Britt Baker has done it more than anybody. And for her to come out and say what she just said after Dynamite went off the air, man, that is a tall tale sign of AEW in turmoil right now. And it comes off the heels of QT Marshall resigning from the company, saying peace out deuces. And QT Marshall, whether you like him or not, doesn't even matter. As an on-air talent, that's your prerogative. What you don't know about QT Marshall is he wore many hats in AEW, like behind the scenes. That was a big dude behind the scenes. He was doing a lot for AEW, suit and tie type stuff. And he just said in his statement, he said the company's just going in a different direction right now, and it's not the direction I want to go in. He's made it clear on many occasions he loves the storyline aspect. He likes the entertainment part of it. And AEW, from reports, it might have even been Fightful, but there's been several reports saying that AEW's new direction is to focus way more NJPW type style, New Japan Pro Wrestling, focus on the wrestling, more tournaments, for instance, right? Treat it like it's actually like a real competition that's not scripted. It's not predetermined. It's wrestling combat, and we have to find out who literally is the best. They want to go just wrestling matches, wrestling match heavy. And storylines will be there, but they're not going to be the focal point. That's the story that is kind of in conjunction with QT Marshall taking off. Just giving you guys some backstory of what we're hearing. So that's gonna scratch the itch of the niche, right? The niche audience will love that, right? The New Japan Pro Wrestling, the AEW, they just want to see matches. They just want to show up, do all the cool moves. Wait and see if Meltzer gives it 5 or 26 stars. Chant, this is awesome. Fight forever. Get some popcorn and a soda pop. Come back. get the next two people in there and do the same thing over and over. That's going to feed the niche for sure, but it's going to be niche. Pro wrestling it's entertainment. It has to be. Otherwise, there is no pro wrestling, right? You got to have the theatrics. You got to have the storylines that captivate people to your product. You have to generate that interest with larger than life characters that are involved in those storylines. These are just things you have to do. So QT said, "Peace deuces, I'm out." Now Britt Baker is speaking out, and she's not happy with the company she is in. This is what Britt Baker said just after Dynamite went off the air. Britt Baker says, "Tonight's AEW MJF's live promo was 7 minutes. Christian Cage's live promo, 10 minutes. 17 minutes of promo time between those two alone on a 2-hour show. All of 2023's Dynamite, Britt Baker live promo time, 0 minutes." So she's saying in just one promo, MJF got another 7 minutes. Christian Cage got another 10 minutes. All of 2023 Dynamite, the entire year, Britt Baker, 0 minutes. And that's the end of there's no joke about it. There's no laugh my ass off emoji. She's telling you, not cool. And for them, we've seen this in WWE in years past, right? When individuals start speaking out on their social and they're not happy, that usually means that they tried to discuss this or work it out behind the scenes before they had to do that. And it just didn't work. So, it gravitates or graduates to the next level, unfortunately. And for Britt Baker, who is a staple of that women's division, she is a staple of that division. When you think the women's division of AEW, whether you like her or not, whether you think she's one of the best wrestlers or not, she's easily top echelon. From the very beginning, she started that thing. MJF said last night, what did he say? I saw a couple minutes of his promo, and he said, I was here and I started this place. I built this place brick by brick. Well, for the ladies, you could easily say Britt Baker is in that conversation. And for her to say that, this isn't just like Julia Hart's, just like, I thought they were going to give me a push, and now all of a sudden I can't get on air, a situation like that. Or Lana, they hired me, I thought I was going to do more, and I'm not doing anything. This is Britt Baker on social, putting out there to everybody that she's not happy with her booking. She can't even get airtime. Guys, what that does is it tells everybody, because we saw this in WWE, right? This is why Vince McMahon caught so much slack, because we knew the booking was off for so many individuals. But then when the individuals that we are feeling bad for and talking about not getting good booking, when they start speaking up for themselves, it takes on a whole new life form. Then we're like, yeah, everything we were saying, now they're saying for themselves. That's BS. Vince, you got to change, man. Something's got to give. Well, for Tony Khan, man, how many people are you look at how many people are just taking off from the company, resigning, going over now to social and saying my booking sucks. I can't even get a minute of promo time. The females only get one match every Wednesday night. Britt Baker not happy, and this is not just an average wrestler in AEW, man. If you lose Britt Baker and you just lost Punk and you lost Cody Rhodes and you lost Jade Cargill, these are big-time players, whether you like them or not. Whether you think they're great wrestlers, I understand. But, these are big players. But if the direction we're hearing they want to go is just more match-heavy, Britt Baker is an entertainer, first and foremost. That's what every wrestler has to be. I don't care how many Canadian destroyers and hurricanranas you can do, or 450, 790, 855 plancha splashes you could do from the top rope. You got to be able to be captivated by these characters, right? Stone Cold or The Rock, Hogan or Warrior, all of them. What captivated you wasn't the moves they were doing up front. It was them. All they had to do was drop a leg drop if you're Hogan, or do a fucking press slam if you're Warrior. The Rock just had to drop a people's elbow. Do you guys realize how stupid that move is? He doesn't even connect most of the time. The elbow just barely grazes somebody, and they could be pinned for a count of 47. Nobody cares. The Rock electrified you just by doing the stupid to the rope, looking at the crowd with a stupid eyebrow. Stone Cold could sit there in the corner and just stomp somebody with his foot, and it would get a bigger reaction than 99.99% of the wrestlers today. Their entrance, the whole match, and then going back to the curtain, and they cannot get a reception like Stone Cold got, just stomping his foot into somebody's chest. A Stone Cold Stunner. Randy Orton can hit an RKO, and it gets a bigger pop than most things today in pro wrestling. Just a mover, that's all it takes. They called John Cena 5 moves of doom. Yeah, his bank account says cha-ching. One of the most polarizing and biggest stars in pro wrestling history will be John Cena. Not a big fan of Cena, but I will fully give that guy respect. He found a way to, with the limited skill, and he put on good matches too, by the way. I can list like at least 10 matches of John Cena's that were really good. And I say that about Warrior, who everybody claims is one of the worst wrestlers of all time. But Warrior and Hogan at WrestleMania 6, Warrior Savage WrestleMania 7, I bring this up all the time. I have watched them hundreds of times apiece. Pro wrestling, man, you have to be a captivating individual for me to care about what you're doing in the ring. Roman Reigns is basically 5 moves of doom. He does a spear, he does the drive-by, he does the Superman punch. 3 moves of doom. Maybe he does a couple other things, but he's captivating, right? He's got the character, he's got the aura, he's got the presence. I always say a lot of the wrestlers today, they'll risk their career in life 65 times in one match. They'll jump over the top rope 45 times, get dropped on their dome piece 31 times, jump from something real up high, and they'll get maybe 1% of what Rock, Stone Cold, Hogan, Warrior, all of them would get. They worked smarter, not harder. They captivated an audience, where wrestlers today, they can do all these cool sequences and moves, but they have a personality of a cantaloupe. And a cantaloupe is one of those foods you desire in the moment. Right? I could go for some cantaloupe right now. But it's not something you desire an hour after you eat it. Not many days go by, you go, I could really use some cantaloupe right now. No, you're often not thinking about those wrestlers. They don't really draw your attention, right? For the moment, right? Fans are like cats, and they're the toys, and they're bouncing around the ring, and you're like a cat, and you're watching it all, and you're doing your chants, and when it's all over, you're like, whoa, I'm exhausted. That was amazing. Was it? How many times you going back and watching those matches? Probably not often. You're on to the next. You had your cantaloupe, you had your fix, and then you move on. Britt Baker, for her to tell you she ain't happy, you would think Britt Baker could easily just have a discussion with Tony Khan, right? Dude, like, this is happening, XYZ, and because she's done so much in that company, you would think Tony Khan would be like, oh, say no more. Here, I can give you at least 5 minutes, right? That's pretty good promo time. When you're getting 0 and you get 5 minutes of a 2-hour show that is cut down to 25 off of that on commercials alone up front, you're really working with just over an hour and a half. Here's 5 minutes. Do your thing. Right? You're asking Britt Baker, who would you like to feud with right now? I'll give you some good creativity. We could do something fun. Doesn't even have to have a title on the line. Give you a good storyline. You would think that's happening behind the scenes. But instead, Britt Baker had to go to social to say, I'm not happy. I can't forget the storylines and the matches that I can't get that I would like. But I can't even get the promo time. I mean, they're absolutely slaying it on the microphone. I can't get a damn second, is what Britt Baker is saying. Again, this comes off the heels of a lot of turmoil right now in AEW. It's going off the rails a little bit, and it looks like they are going to change direction and just go more just match-centric, just wrestling. I was able to see the last literally 60 seconds of Dynamite, if even. I think it was Jay White and Swerve Strickland in there. And it just ended abruptly. Like, I don't even know who won or anything, guys. I was literally getting through the door. I'm getting bags. I popped on the TV because I really was hoping to see more of the main event. And I just saw, I think it was Jay White and Swerve, and White was just kind of like trying to get out of the ring. Swerve was at the top of the ramp like he had just won the match, if it was indeed a match. And then it just ended. Swerve and Jay White, and I'm like, whoa, you got to do better than that. I didn't hear commentary or nothing. For some reason, I turned on the TV, I didn't even have sound. I'm trying to put down the bags. So I'm just seeing this. But I don't need to know. Well, BC, there's a massive story behind it. Listen, you got to end it better than that, man. That cannot be the finish to your show. The focal point cannot be a Continental Classic. It cannot be a tournament again. But it's his company, and this is where he wants to run it, man. Just a lot of matches. You're going to see a lot of wrestling matches so we can build up a library and sell it for some good money on a streaming service one day, or maybe create his own. I mean, if that's your cup of coffee, but a lot of these talents are saying, we're not happy with it. So with the matches, I want promo time so I can set up some build to these matches. Britt Baker is saying, listen, I've had a few matches in 2023. Can I get some promo time so I can sell the matches? Can I get some promo time so I can get fans interested in these matches? Just seeing wrestling matches is only going to take you so far. That's why I call it such a niche audience. It's not wrestling, man. We need to have stories behind it. We need to have a reason to care, right? That's how Miz and Gunther, a lot of people were okay with that match. Because Miz and Gunther were able to get promo time. Otherwise, what the fuck are we seeing Gunther and Miz for? Promos, man. Britt Baker's just asking for a second so she could get some hype around some of these matches. And again, I understand that a lot of people might not just like Britt Baker. No, BC, it's best if we don't have Baker. That's going to bring the ratings down even more. Well, I mean, to say that Britt Baker wasn't one of their best... Britt Baker actually can put storylines on her back. Britt Baker is actually good on the microphone. Britt Baker is a damn good heel. Even more than a face, I feel. There's no reason Britt Baker shouldn't have been more of a focal point in 2023, and I'm surprised by that. I didn't know she had 0 minutes of promo time. But apparently this is bigger than just a backstage issue that she went and had to take that public. Britt Baker not happy in AEW. This comes off the heels of Jade Cargill, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, all having to exit that company in one way or the other. People like QT Marshall now, more of a presence behind the scenes than anything. He's taken off. And he's citing that they're just going in a different direction. This comes off the heels of the report that they want to be more match wrestling heavy, and kind of the storylines will just take the back burner. Well, haven't they already in AEW? I don't remember captivating storylines. On one hand, maybe I can count the amount of storylines in AEW that truly captivated me. And I had to see what was going to happen next. And they've been around over 5 years. And I'm being generous when I say 5. I'm really only thinking MJF Wardlow. Everything else is just like a blur. Some Iron Man matches with Bryan Danielson. I kind of remember that jumps off the top of my dome. That's it, man. I don't know. They're in flux right now, and I can't say it's for the best ratings-wise. Collision and Rampage together pulled less than 600,000 viewers this week. So one of those shows has to get taken off the air. We know that, right? Switch over Collision, make that on Friday nights, put it against SmackDown, and that'll be your best bet. You're at least going to pull, once you get established on Friday night, against SmackDown, which will be on cable next October, so it's an even match. Not so even. The juggernaut will still be WWE, but a little bit more evenly matched because it's cable, and you'll at least be pulling 500,000 viewers for Collision. It's better than the 2 to 3 you've pulled all of this past month. I assure you, because right now, Big Bang Theory reruns of the Big Bang Theory pull nearly double the viewership of Collision and Rampage combined. So they can save a lot of money and just boot one of these shows easily. I think that's the best case, because right now, it's oversaturation. All of these shows are just hurting Tony Khan more than anything. And that's something that has to be changed immediately. Now, this kind of goes into the biggest focal point of this upload. I know that took a lot of time, but that's a lot of discussion that needs to be had as well. Again, traveling and just doing so much yesterday, I wasn't able to do any uploads. So You're getting a lot of the amplification right now, man. A lot of my thoughts on these subjects. We're putting it all in one upload right now. And it leads us into CM Punk's promo on Monday night. Now, I did the Raw review, so I gave you some initial thoughts, but that was part of a whole 3-hour review. So I wasn't able to take a lot of time on it. In fact, I didn't even mention the line he says right before the show went off the air. I'm here to make money, not friends. I didn't even mention that in my review because there was so much other stuff to talk about promo-wise, what it sets up for Sethington and what Rollins said about Punk earlier in the night. So my focal point was more on that than anything, and any of the drama part. Right, I think a lot of people were expecting more of the drama in this, and BC was just thinking more of, I just want a good wrestling storyline. Right, like even if it's just seeds planted. Now, I told you guys on the preview to Monday Night Raw, we went live like an hour and a half right before the show went live. And I told you guys one of two things were going to happen. We were hoping it was the latter. And that was, one, they were just going to do a simplistic promo, right? Punk's just going to go out there. It's going to be like a welcome back speech, right? Good to be back. Missed you guys. Drop a few names, like AJ Lee maybe, and he did. But that's what they're going to do. It's simplistic, and they really don't have concrete plans yet, right? That shows you on Saturday night. They just had him go out, top of the ramp, and that's how the show ended. Survivor Series. There was nothing really of substance. So it shows you that they really don't have plans yet. They're just kind of riding the momentum of just having Punk back. So the easiest route for the company to do is just have him go out there with a microphone, say some words, end the show, right? As advertised, Punk did show up. Punk said words. Or they could start a really badass storyline, which is what we were hoping for, right? An attack angle, or him and Sethington right out of the gates or face-to-face with a promo. Something big, right? Of course we were hoping for that. But I told you in the preview, and I reiterated that when the show was over in the review, I said that was most likely going to be the case. They were just going to give him a microphone, and he's going to say some words. A welcome back hoorah speech. And that's what happened. But I wasn't expecting that many people to be that upset with the promo, or that much backlash, or the controversy calling him PG Punk, right? Oh, we were hoping that he was going to actually, like, say what was on his mind, right? Talk about AEW. So, first and foremost, before I even get to that, timing. That was another issue. That'll be a shorter thing to talk about. Then I will get back to the not saying anything about AEW. The timing of it, right? He got about 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. Or it was 7 to 8 minutes when he was coming out, 5 minutes of promo time. I forgot what it was. But between 5 and 8 minutes, whatever it was. And people are saying, well, we thought it was going to be a lot longer than that, man. We thought he was going to say more and more words of substance. And guys, that was always going to be the case. There's just the reports that Randy Orton's match went too long. What, 60 seconds? Punk was never going to say more than what he had planned. What more do you think he was going to say? In fact, when he was done with the promo, they still had 60 seconds, guys. Go back, watch. The camera just stayed on him, and it was awkward for a second, right? Punk's looking at the camera. The camera is not closing off to end the show. We're staying on the air, and Punk just gives a grin like, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? He's like searching, right? And that's when he comes out with, I'm here to make money, not friends. I don't think that was planned, because it contradicts exactly what he said earlier. I'm a changed man, right? And everybody's welcoming me backstage, and it's good to see everybody. That's literally what he said moments before. And then he ended it with, I'm here to make money, not friends. You just said you were changed. You just said you were getting along with everybody, and then you're here to make money, not friends. I think that was him just trying to search for something because he was still live. That's the only botch in it. It's the only thing that's contradictory, but I can look past that. The poor guy thought it was going to end when he dropped the fucking mic. It didn't end. So anybody that thinks that he needed more time, no, that was his promo. That was it. It was only a hoorah welcome back speech for himself. And that's fine. Of course we would have liked more, but it's not that big of a deal. People flipping out because he didn't have more mic time. There's going to be plenty of times for Punk with a microphone. At this stage in his career, he should be having more promos than matches. The other issue was what was said. He didn't attack AEW enough. They really wanted to hear some of the interesting gossip, but he was never going to, nor should he have. That's not the time and place. You really think that Paul Levesque McMahon, even though he was not at Raw, by the way, Christopher Pritchard and several others were trying to run the ship, while Paul Levesque McMahon and Nicholas Khan were trying to iron out the new TV deal for Raw. By the way, I have that rating for you. I'll have that coming up at the tail end of this discussion, the Raw rating. I told you guys what to expect. I was spot on, wasn't I? We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But Nicholas Khan and Levesque McMahon trying to iron out a new deal. Is that with USA Network? We'll see. But, and that's why they knew that meeting was happening then. They said, oh man, if we can get Punk now, we just have him go out at Survivor Series on Saturday, right? Just make an appearance. And then when we go to those meetings on Monday, man, and we're going to go, oh, did you hear what happened? We're the most talked about on social. We are in all the headlines. It's the hottest ticket in town. You sure you don't want Raw? I'm telling you, that was a huge bargaining chip. That was done strategically. We found out Levesque McMahon wasn't at Raw. Him and Nick Khan were trying to get a new deal on Monday. Punk comes back on Saturday night. Well played, Mr. Nick Khan. Well played. Nick Khan is facilitating all of these meetings, by the way. Of course, Levesque McMahon has to be there, and probably other suits and ties, but this is Nick Khan gets all the deals together. So that's why when Levesque McMahon says, well, nobody really knew about the Punk thing, other than, of course, Nick Khan. Yeah, that's because Nick Khan is making all of these moves. Nick Khan is all about what can make that company sexier. Man, he's going to go and do it. So I guess in one hand, that's a good thing. But so Punk, there was no way that Levesque McMahon, whether he's there on Raw or not, is going to let Punk just run down AEW. They don't like to acknowledge them. And when Levesque McMahon is even asked about AEW and when they used to beat him on NXT or, he'll say some sly, he'll try to discredit them, right? Oh, you beat our developmental, congratulations. Or it's a pissant t-shirt company. Or he does not like to, he's like Vincent Kennedy. They don't acknowledge AEW. They're not going to let Punk go out there and waste time on the other company. So it was never going to happen anyway. But I'll take it a step further, guys. When we were doing that live stream, the preview for Monday Night Raw, it was never even discussed. For those of you that were live, if you guys recall, we were never talking about Punk running down AEW. I never even mentioned his promo having anything to do with Tony Khan or AEW. And that wasn't strategic. It never crossed my dome piece to think Punk tonight is gonna run down AEW. This is gonna be fun. That was never. As a fan, I was excited to finally have something new that could lead to really cool things. I was thinking more of the storyline they have right now, which is rooted in some real feeling. Sethington, Rollins, and Punk. I was looking forward to the WWE storyline between Sethington and Punk. I was not even thinking about AEW and CM Punk running them down in the promo. And a lot of fans were upset. Oh, he didn't even take one dig at AEW. What did you want him to do? Legally, we don't even know if he can do that. Legally, he could get in a lot of trouble, right? Tony Khan's the person that will absolutely use defamation. And that's a lawsuit and a half right there. He doesn't want to go that route, that whole road again. Remember what happened with WWE on the Colt Cabana podcast? Exactly 9 years after that podcast was Monday night when he came back to WWE for Raw. How ironic is that? And a lot of money was wasted from that podcast, from CM Punk and WWE, and they put so much money into legal fees. So, but it never even dawned on me because I'm looking at it through the lens of a fan just being excited again that we actually have something to look forward to. And you got to give a lot of credit to Sethington for making that real, right? I mean, Punk could have just came back and everyone's like, well, Punk's back. No, Sethington made a storyline instantly. And that's what you have to do. And that's what we were talking about going into Monday Night Raw live an hour before. We were talking about, oh man, Sethington, how are they going to do it? Is there an attack angle? Are they going to have a face-to-face? Is Punk just going to say some words? But Him and Sethington acknowledge one another for a future face-to-face promo and eventually a match. Would it be WrestleMania? Is Punk going to be the one to take the title? All these really good questions that we had as fans. If you were just waiting around going, oh, I just want to see Punk, what he's going to say about AEW tonight. Wow, it didn't even cross my dome piece that was even, not even possible. It just I didn't think of it. AEW was the farthest thing from my dome piece at that moment. I'm already moved on as a fan. Punk is in WWE. We knew that as of Saturday night. There is awesome storylines and matches set up for the future if WWE chooses to go those routes. And that's what BC was looking forward to. But for people saying the promo was bad because he didn't trash his former AEW juggernaut. No, man, not at all. Save that for some salacious podcast, right? Which I doubt he'll make that mistake again, but he'll probably drop some nuggets of how he was feeling around that time with him and Khan and the fights with Jungle Boy Jack Perry and all that. He'll probably tell a lot in the future, but probably not everything. He's probably learned his lesson from that when he left WWE. But if you thought that he was just going to get a microphone and the promo was going to be trashing AEW or talking about his time there, or you just wanted him to acknowledge AEW, that was never going to happen. And I'm more than okay with it not happening. It never even was fathomable to me that that's what they should spend a second of time on. You are there. You tell everybody that, what's your mission statement? He tells everybody, I am the best in the world. And those that choose not to believe it are fearing the fact that I am. And he means Sethington Rollins, of course. Right? Seth Rollins. He says everybody was receptive of me coming back except for one person. He says almost everybody was receptive. And he looks right at the camera. And of course he's talking about Sethington. I'll wrap up the conversation, but it's just wild to me that because fans do not get exactly what they wanted to hear in a promo, that they automatically label it a bad promo. It wasn't. Of course we would have liked more. But this is one of those scenarios where there's a lot of good, a lot more positive to come from this than negative. And we can't always say that, right? Usually something starts up that we already don't really care about, and the initial promo is even weaker. So then it's like, oh, can we just get this done with? How long is this going to take, this story? 2 months? Please get it done with. It's not often that we get to go, oh, this is going to be really good. And that's what we have with Sethington and Punk. So it's not often that I say this on this channel, right? The old let it play out, basically. But let it play out. This is one of those things I can relax. I can relax on this, man. Let them get a vision for how they want to unfold all of this with Punk, Sethington, all these parts. Get a game plan in order. I think they rushed it because it was Chicago and Levesque, McMahon, and Nick Khan were going to these Monday meetings to get a new Raw deal. So they said, no, now we got to do it, not Royal Rumble. And I think they pushed Punk right to Survivor Series. Otherwise, I think it would have been a Rumble appearance. But, it was going to be about the atmosphere of CM Punk being back on Raw. Now, do I like the fact that it was in Nashville, Tennessee? I think that's where they were, correct? No, it wasn't the most hyped crowd, obviously. It could have been more electric. If it was in a city, for instance, yeah, man, it would have been wild. But I'm not seeing. And for me, of all people, if you've been following this channel, for me to say that about Punk, I'm pretty, brutally honest in these thoughts. I just, when something is really bad, yeah, we'll rip it apart because it's justified and it'll hopefully make things better for these individuals and the show and the company. But when something it's not bad, whether you think it's good or not, okay, eye of the beholder, but bad because they didn't mention AEW or they didn't get an extra 2 minutes to talk words. I don't know what more you wanted. This was always going to be a I'm home, welcome back me speech. I missed you guys. I've changed. And if anything, he had extra time when it was all said and done. And he was searching for something to say. And he accidentally contradicted himself at the end. But he had too much time. Randy Orton didn't take enough time in that match. Because that's all they had planned, was Punk just to say, "What's up, everybody? I'm back. Let's get rolling." Of course, we would have liked it if it was more. No question. No question, man. I always say, right out of the gate, start really hot. But that's not the criticisms that you're hearing, right? What you're hearing is, oh, there wasn't enough time. He didn't really say anything about AEW, and that's what we were hoping. Just go cutthroat on him. No, what? Why even look backwards at this point, man? The drama is just so stale at this point. It's nauseating, all the drama in AEW. It's so stupid. Literally, it's so refreshing to have just a wrestling storyline take precedent. And that's what Rollins and Punk is to BC. And I hope it is to you guys. I hope we can all move past the AEW drama. And Tony Khan as well, by the way. Hopefully Tony Khan goes off and really finds the identity of AEW, finds out what he truly wants it to be. And hopefully that is a successful endeavor in the future. I think it's clear that I don't know if they're really ever going to be competition to WWE. I think that's a pipe dream now. I think that's done with, and I think they realize it, and so they're just going back to the roots of just wrestling matches. And again, that'll feed the niche. It's not really going to bring in a casual audience or just an audience that's just like, hey, I kind of want to get into something new. Let me give this a try again. Oop, nope, that's not for me. I don't think it's ever going to pull them, but they'll have a niche, and hopefully they'll be successful. I truly, all the best. But hopefully they can just move on. And to Tony Khan's credit, for anybody that's giving him a lot of crap, because of the whole Punk situation, he did try, man. He brought in Punk. I think he really thought that was going to make a big difference in AEW. But he didn't realize that it's about the stories you're giving them. You can't just, make a show around CM Punk, call it Collision, and just have him in a 6-man tag with FTR. And think that that's going to bring in 2 million viewers. It's not going to happen. It's the lack of storytelling, or at least really good, captivating storytelling. It's the lack of experience from Khan, and hopefully he gets that in the future. But Khan never knew how to manage CM Punk. He never knew how to truly be the boss of CM Punk. Punk never looked at Khan as such. There was times I'm sure Punk thought he was running this thing, and that's too much free reign for somebody like Punk. He needs more of a structured environment like WWE. It was a marriage that was always going to end in divorce, and it's sad. But Tony Khan tried. So you got to give him some credit. He tried. It was just a failure because Tony Khan is he doesn't know how to be the boss. He's more of like a action figure collector, He's like somebody who's got his toy chest, and as he grew older, it's actual human wrestlers now, and those are his, he gets to make his dream matches, and every other match is a dream match. Sometimes it's guys you never even heard of. Well, they're big overseas, and that's one of those things where you can bring in all the top names in the world, but if you have nothing for them, if you're not doing anything that piques your fans' interest, you can only go so far with it. Edge, Adam Copeland, Edge just came back. Rampage and Collision, those numbers are in the tank. I wouldn't be shocked if both shows got canceled. Edge, Adam Copeland. It's rough. It's rough to watch, but that's why I always say booking, storylines matter. Know what you're doing before you parade somebody out there. And I'll hold WWE to the same standards. I know why they rushed Punk, though. They were in Chicago, and Levesque McMahon and Nick Khan wanted those big TV rights deals. They had the big meetings on Monday and Tuesday. So I understand. I'll give you the week mulligan. But by next week, you better have plans ironed out. We better get this ball rolling, man. Touchdowns every single time Punk is out there. That's what I got for you guys, man. Real quick, the Raw rating. I told you guys in the preview. I told you guys on the preview. I told you guys on the review. I reiterated. Everybody's like, oh, they got to get 2 million, 2.2, 3 million because of a Punk return and its post-Survivor Series. Guys, it's a pipe dream. They're pulling in 1.3s to 1.5s for the last 2 months. These are the lowest Raw ratings of all time under Paul Levesque McMahon. 1.3s to 1.5s. And you're just expecting 500,000 viewers, a third of their viewership currently, to jump on board. That's rare. Rare does that happen. It's happened a handful of times in the past, but it's very rare. I told you guys, as somebody who follows the numbers and the trajectories and the trends, the metrics, I told you guys a 1.7 would be their bare minimum. Not necessarily success, but not a failure. You pulled over 200,000 more viewers in. It's something that you can, you probably put your head down a little bit. You'll frown a little bit, but you can get past it. You got out of that 1.5 rut. 1.3s to 1.5s for 2 months will get you in a rut and feeling pretty miserable about it. But 1.7 is their bare minimum. I told you guys in the preview and the review, I said a 1.8 is most likely what they're looking for to say we got some type of a success. I said a 1.8 is most likely what they're going to get. They pulled the 1.88, high end of 1.8. That's the good news. Not just a 1.8, a high end. 1.88. But I told you guys they'll probably pull about a 1.8 that seems to be reasonable post Survivor Series, CM Punk, Randy Orton, and you pull in 350-ish thousand more viewers. To even close, maybe to 4. Was that a 1.4 last week? Well, between 3 and 4 is my point. That's really good. 500,000 might have been a little steep. I said a 1.9 is possible. But as I said in that preview, 2.0 is not happening. It could, but most likely not happening. So get the 2 mil out because they're in a rut. But if they can score a 1.8, it's a little bit of a success. If you can get 1.9, even better. They pulled the 1.88. So just letting you guys know that it's exactly as BC told you, man. When it comes to the numbers, I'm pretty spot on for you guys, man. I do a lot of homework on this stuff, and trends and trajectories are a real thing. So that's what's always odd about all elite wrestling is it's always a roller coaster, and it's always so out of the norm. The trends are so awkward, and that just tells you that there's not a lot of fans just don't feel like they have to watch every week. Whereas in WWE, like a lot of fans are jumping off by the week, but you still see the consistency with so many. That's why you see trends, 1.3 to 1.5 for 2 straight months. In AEW, you'll just see like a third of their audience will just drop off, and then all of a sudden, like a third of that will come. It's awkward, man. I don't know. It's very odd. But for WWE, you knew that they were going to pull another 1.3 to 1.5. So because of Punk, Orton, and post-Survivor Series, they almost got to a 1.9. Isn't it ironic that Paul McMahon has brought Raw to the lowest numbers in show history for 2 straight months? And it's CM Punk, of all people, that helped get him out of that rut. Ironic. BC Amplified, guys. Until next time, there will be that next time. Current status and situation, we are out. Check you.